Okay, so I've got an Ableton session open here, and I'm going to start with some drums. I'm going to aim for something kind of drum and bass tempo, so we'll go 174, but I don't really know where this will go yet, so we'll see. So we're being really freeform with this to begin with. Maybe a vocoder. I really like using the vocoder noise mode to provide a bit of kind of reverb. And we've got our kick. Cool. Starting to put something together. What I think would be good to have next are some little hats. And I think probably the top loop segment of the sample pack is a really good place to start for that. Could even work best on the downbeat. I like having a layer of this sort of static crash noise underneath the drums, just to fill out the top end. But what I just love is that I can add extra bits to the envelope, which don't necessarily have to be synced up to the grid. In fact, can be quite sloppy. I use this little tearing paper sample. Stick an envelope on that. Let's try F. I'm going to try some stab on it, see how it sounds. Very tight. So I'm going to record that out now. And maybe a little bit of limiting as well would be good on this. Great, so we've now got these two breaks to work with. Quite like it pitched up a semitone, it's quite fun. So we got some drums to start with, and I want to now have a sort of look through for inspiring stuff in the bass folder and just try out a few ideas with this. Well, that could be fun to start with. Let's try low passing that a bit. Yeah, so already got some ideas for that, and we'll have some resonance on that. I really like to have something interesting happen, at least, I mean, it sounds really silly to say, I want something interesting to happen at least every 4 bars. It's quite a long time, but you want some variation over time. So having something like that fill at the end really keeps the listener engaged. It means that you're kind of guaranteeing that there's not just going to be 8 bars of exactly the same thing for them to listen to. Let's go for this square one here. Try my Moog grandmother Reese. We want something in F. Try dropping this in. Wow, that was just a total random sample that I dropped in, but that sounds pretty cool. It's quite nice to have the reverb, the reverse reverb, not actually link up with the sample. I can actually add in EQ points and just tune them exactly to the note that I want. So we've now got a much more simple sounding drum beat. Could maybe put some reverb on this. We get some cool effect of the filter on the OTT reverb from this higher layer here. Now we could look at doing a bit of saturation on that whole group maybe. bus. So we have a separate channel for this saturation to go through. I'm just going to use chorus ensemble and set it to vibrato mode. Maybe something old school like some amp on it. That goes nicely into the distortion, that filter. And maybe look at putting that earlier in the chain. That was just a bit of control over the width of the low end. I actually kind of want some width to the lows. It's not the sub. You may be able to tell it's a different day because I'm wearing a different shirt. Thank you, inspectors. I added in Driver by Native Instruments, which is really interesting distortion plugin. And I've got a little bit of amplitude modulation on the frequency of this filter, this resonant filter, and the signal that it's using for the amplitude modulation is just the input. So it kind of adds a bit of bite to this bit. That's quite nice, that little bit of resonance on that. Just going to take the bass audio that's been frozen. Let's put some filtering on this. Just going to have this LFO also affect the decay. So what I was thinking I would do is use synaptic morph to morph between this bass sound and these kind of mid layers here. So I'm going to use 40. So I'm routing the audio from this channel into this channel. We might want to think about adding some riser effects, and I've got a few which I created for the sample pack here. Let's have a shifter on that, and we will bring, let's just ring modulate it. It's already super ring modulated already, that's how I made it, but I will just add another one to the chain and we'll have that travel upwards. So I added a delay here, so that's a stereo ping pong delay, so it will make the sound a lot more wide, probably some compression. Bit of high pass on the sidechain signal so it's not going to be dominated by the kick too much. I actually find sometimes vocal compression is the best for drums, which is kind of ironic. Listen to the attack that gets. It's so nice, and that's meant for vocals. What we got together here is this little layer, which is fun. Maybe some grain delay on that would be cool. That's just a bit of the original Reese, but in a sampler. Again, would be nice to have a send kind of effect for that, so I will just set that up very quickly. That's nice, especially on that little bit there. So what could be fun here is I can have the feedback of this grain delay slowly increase to, almost 100%. Maybe have the frequency go down. So now that decay kind of lives longer. So that should be an interesting element to just have slowly creep in over the course of the next 16 bars. Probably one of the last elements that we can really think about fitting in here before we've got too much stuff is just some like top end noise and effects and interest. I've got this noise faller and then build up, which is just lovely for this kind of thing. I'm going to make sure I repitch it so it fits. I had one last idea, which was we've got that bass and this little break here. And I thought what would be really nice for this sort of fill effects is just to gate this group that I've got the sidechain set up on. Just gate that to the break for the last couple of hits before the drop comes in. Set the floor to 0. And I think that should just introduce it a bit better. Be a good point to start thinking about some mixing stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start making this sound a bit more kind of polished and finished. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a quick look through this audio analyzer here, which is Vision X by Noisia and Excite Audio. It's Vision 4X, I should say, which lets you see what your mixdown looks like visually. Now, I normally aim for it to look a little bit more kind of uniform than that, but because we've got this bass line kind of wandering around in pitch quite a lot, I'm not too worried about how muddy it looks. Now, that's a really kind of loud, full range sound to have, so I want to make sure that the mixdown kind of allows for it. The stuff that we've got going on at the same time is also going to need to be quite kind of controlled. I'm wondering if this sound might be a little bit much to have at the same time as that. Though I do like the idea of it, so maybe have that come to the forefront a bit more and then low pass this bass for the second section here. That's just giving us a little bit more level out of the drums without really sacrificing much of the transients. Put a limiter on the bass. I feel like I can be fairly crude here. Now, something you might have noticed and potentially have been annoyed by throughout all of these videos is the fact that I'm actually redlining on the master. This is clipping. Been clipping pretty much all the way through, though I do tend to, sit on this control quite a bit and change it just to hear my track at different volumes. But I just want to kind of make the case to defend the clipping a little bit, which is that really this track is going to be mastered and it's going to have a lot of processing, well, maybe minimal processing put on it, but some of that may be clipping. I may end up distorting this. Honestly, distorting the master in Ableton is actually not different to a digital clip in the slightest. So this is going to sound distorted. Many of the sounds in here are very distorted anyway. Like this this bass has got all kinds of different distortion on it. These drums are saturated right here. You were here when I saturated them. So to me, it doesn't make much sense to kind of somehow become very protective of these elements when they're summed together, because they are distorted separately. I want to distort them eventually anyway. So yeah, we don't need to really worry about that. So a lot of the time, what I tend to be doing is trying to use clipping as much as I can get away with before my limiter, because that will shave off peaks that will otherwise cause my limiter to dip quite severely. So just popping a newfangled saturate on there. And you can see that's ridiculous. That's -3 lufs, which is really impractically loud. I wouldn't often want to go that loud, but it doesn't sound really that bad. It wouldn't sound much worse than just this, which has got a little bit of volume dipping on it. Yeah, we have pretty much made a track all the way from scratch using all components from my sample pack. We've gone all the way through making drums, making a drum loop, taking that drum loop, putting it into audio, and then expanding it back out again, all the different processes you might do there. How to make a bass riff, resampling sort of bits of audio from the sample pack into this main riff. We then created some melody stuff around that, and we've made some effects, which we've implemented in the track. And then finally, we've taken all of this, organized it, and created a really rudimentary master chain, but one that definitely gets the job done as far as this is concerned. So I really hope that's been interesting and helpful. And I will leave a copy of this, the track audio, in the download for the sample pack, so you can have a look. So yeah, thank you very much for watching.